Anyways, today we are going to be doing a live Q&A. So for those of you that are on, please feel free to drop your comments or your questions in the comment box. This isn't going to be a reading. I'm not doing live readings, but I will answer any questions that you have regarding intuition, manifesting, anything you want to know about me, any like kind of coaching questions that you have. I'm happy to answer live while we are on here. One of the questions that I've been getting a lot has actually been about boot camp. I'm sure you've seen the emails. I'm sure you've seen my posts. My intuitive boot camp starts on May 31st. Registration closes though on the 27th so that I can make sure I get everybody enrolled and get their emails and materials out to them. So that being said, people are just wondering, like, what does intuitive bootcamp look like? So aside from it being a live group coaching, where it's going to be very much like this, except you're actually going to get a chance to talk live, ask your questions. We're going to interact with each other. It's all done on Zoom video. You do not have to have your video on if you don't want to. I know some people are uncomfortable with that. I was for a long time. But your questions can be answered at the end of every class, and we're going to have a chance to practice with each other and to work with each other. And if you can't attend the classes live, that's totally okay. You can still email me or message me your questions, and I will still answer them at the end of each class for you. But so the first week is typically going to be on why using our intuition is so needed right now. And that's something we're actually going to tap into a little bit today in a way that I haven't quite talked about before. And what is this shift? What is this great awakening? What is all of this stuff happening right now? Why do I feel so high one day and so low the next day? Why is my energy all over the place? We're going to talk about self-love. We're going to talk about the higher self. This is all just in week 1, okay? We're going to talk about how to raise your vibration, why you need to raise your vibration, why maybe some of the stuff that worked to raise your vibration before aren't necessarily working now, and how we can shift that. And again, of course, why manifesting and intuition go hand in hand. I fully don't believe that you can have one without the other. So what was the other question? In week 2, we're going to talk about how to meditate effectively. And I'm going to give you other ways to meditate besides just sitting in a cross-legged position. The thing about your intuition is you have to create space and awareness. And one of the ways that we create space is by healing our inner child, healing the wounds that are still in there. So we're going to talk about those types of things. We're going to talk about how to meditate in a way that allows you to be active, that allows you to still be doing the things that you need to be doing and still create space for spirit to come in. We're going to talk about why meditation is actually productive versus counterproductive, because a lot of people get in their heads about, oh, and I do this too. I could be doing this, this, and this right now instead of just sitting here. But what I often find is when we sit there, when we take a break and allow our intuition to speak to us, the things that we need to do we find easier ways to do them, or we get inspiration, we get ideas, we step out of our meditation in a much more of a flow state. Okay, so we're going to talk about creating a sacred space and how to do that on a budget, how to do it with things that you already have around your home, creating boundaries with spirit and with people, why they work, how to set them, how to get the world and other people to respond to you, to respect you, because we teach other people how to treat us. And this is actually a big conversation I've been having with both of my kids lately, as we teach other people how to treat us by the way that we treat ourselves and by the things that we are willing to accept. So when spirit is the same way. So when we start stepping into creating solid boundaries, we notice that we start manifesting better communication, better relationships, more ease, more flow throughout our day. So this is stuff that we're going to be talking about in week 2, as well as identifying and working with your strongest gifts. Week 3 is going to be about working with spirit, sensing spirit, the different types of spirit, your spirit team, how to connect with each one of those energies, what those energies feel like, and really learning how to Tap into that guidance that is available to you, whether you're sitting in meditation, whether you're receiving it via your strongest clairs, or whether you're sitting down to do some automatic writing and journaling techniques. And week 4 is going to be fun because week 4 is like, okay, we're going to practice together. And what do we do in circumstances where we've done all of the things, we've checked all of the boxes, but we're still not getting anything? How do we bust through the fear, maybe fear of, does this go against my religion? Is this going to mean that I'm crazy? Busting through the fear of what is out there, what is unseen, busting through the doubt for ourselves, trusting in ourselves. Where do we go from here, and how to find purpose in all of this? Why were you guided to this? Why have you been feeling like you are going through an awakening again? Why do you feel the sudden need to, read all the time or educate yourself? Or what are some other common symptoms of awakening? The need to be outside all the time, feeling like you want your feet just on the ground with the earth, feeling drawn to spirituality and psychics and stuff like that and not really knowing why, being more drawn to understanding synchronicity, understanding truths that are out there but that you can't see. Just all of these things are signs that you might be going through an awakening. And so we're going to learn how to navigate those things and why they're showing up for you, okay? And then week 5 is actually my favorite week. Week 5 is free flowing. We go over any questions that we didn't get to go over at the end of each class. We talk with each other. It's a conversational group session where you guys can talk with each other, practice with each other. I'll be there to help and guide you as we learn to connect with our spirit guides. Just really good, like bouncing questions off of each other, to me, through me, to and through each other. It's just a really, really boot camp is, I freaking love it. I love teaching it. I love being a part of it. I love the camaraderie, the community that it builds, because even for me, you guys, I teach this stuff every day. I have clients every day. I'm actually really blessed to be as busy as I am. I've done, including this, I think 8 or 9 hours of sessions this week. And though I teach it every day, though I live these experiences every day, it's so nice to go back to the basics, to hear things click in like they didn't click in before, to feel that energy again, because I believe that when this becomes a part of your everyday reality, when you're living this way, as you should be, sometimes we forget about the magic that is there and how good it feels to sit in your own energy, how good it feels to tune in to the energy of your spirit guides or the vibration of abundance or whatever it is that you're searching for. We can attune to that energy and sit in it and feel in it. And I think when we go about our day to day, especially when we're doing this constantly, we can forget that magic. So it's really nice to have that reset. And then for those that are just beginning, this is great because, again, I'm going back to the basics and we're just going through everything, cutting through everything. And of course, it's stuff that I've taught in boot camp, 2 years ago. When did I do it? 2 years ago? Yeah. When I taught boot camp 2 years ago. But I've got 2 years of COVID under my belt now, and I've got 2 years of life experiences and 2 more years of working with spirit. So things show up differently. We speak to them differently. I have more education, more knowledge to give you, right? And so it's beginner, intermediate, and advanced. It's all of the things. So let's see. Oh, hi, Lindsay. Let's see. I'm going to check Lindsay's question. Okay, she says, I recently quit my job to pursue my passion, public speaking. I am so proud of you. I'm still working part-time, though, to pay bills, and I feel like I'm being called to completely let go of the need for financial security. Even though I've had so many amazing miracles in my life, I'm still having trouble fully trusting that this is going to work out and that I'm actually being called into this work and entrepreneur lifestyle. I guess feeling like I'm worthy of this life and wealth that I'm trying to create. Oh my gosh. First of all, you are worthy. You are innately worthy. You were born worthy of anything you want and desire. Those desires were placed on your heart for a reason because you are capable of them. And now it's just believing that you can receive it, right? So I did a podcast a few weeks ago based on a client session where Spirit was basically like, you guys make this way too hard. You make it way too hard. And they were laughing. Like, I remember seeing her guides laughing. They're like, you get in your own way. And I took, usually when a message is for someone else, we can still apply it to our own lives. And I was like, oh, because they just kept saying, you get in your own way, you overcomplicate it. Everything we give you is insight. Everything we give you is insight. So all you really need to do, and I'll help you with this in a second, is kind of take inventory. And interesting you brought this question up because this is what I plan to talk about today, is take inventory of the things that have happened in your life, how you've gotten through them, the obstacles that you are given, how you get through them, noting that you get through every situation and just seeing everything as insight, right? And then realizing that when you let go, fully just let go of the control and the need to control and just lean back and trust, that's when we remove the blocks. That's when Spirit's like, finally, like you pulled back the curtains and now we can let the light in, right? And so to bring it back down to earth, like in a more, layman's terms, is we have got to trust. And we've got to trust in ourselves. We've got to trust in Spirit. I find for me, at the beginning of my journey, it was actually easier to trust in Spirit than it was for myself. Because to me, I didn't know if I could do it or not. I had never done it before. I had never been fully reliant on myself before in ways of abundance, right? Like I had always had a job. I could look at that and I could say, well, since I was 14, I've had a job. I've paid for my own stuff. I paid for my cars. I did this at this age. I did this at this age. But it was always through someone else paying me. So then I had the belief in the worth of, well, I am worthy of this much money because this person told me that I was, right? So our paychecks tell us we are worthy of at least this much money. And whether we believe it or not, that becomes a subconscious program. And so when I was going to leave my job, I remember being like, okay, I'm going to save up 3 months of salary. So every time I earned any kind of income through Light, Love, and Spirit, I put it in an account and I didn't even touch it. I didn't look at it. I didn't touch it. I earned 3 months of my salary. And it took me a while, right? Because I wasn't full-time. I was actually working full-time and just doing this on the side, like nights and weekends and burning myself out really freaking quick. So when it came time and I went to my husband with this, I was like, I want to leave. I thought he was going to tell me I was crazy. He told me to do it. I didn't think about the fact that, could I trust myself to do this? I didn't doubt myself. I didn't have time to doubt myself. Let's put it that way. And I don't want you to have time to doubt yourself either, because actually what I was going to go over today, I have some notes, is self-discipline. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that, but I really want to answer your question, which might cover the whole thing. I don't want you to have time to doubt yourself, because I want you to be so fully dedicated to what you're going to do that there is no question in your mind, there is no other option whether or not it's going to work, okay? I believed and I trusted in Spirit because I saw the validation from them over and over and over again of the manifesting and the clients and how my blog blew up in 7 months and how people wanted to work with me and how I'm now a medium when I never thought that was available to me. Like all of these different things, I saw the role that Spirit played in my life. I saw the role my intuition was playing in my life. And so I could believe in that. I could trust in that. I knew that it was there. I felt it was there. And I know you know that too. And so I didn't really have time to think about me, but I knew that I had to do it. There was something in me. I felt it in my heart. I felt it in my stomach. I snapped on my husband when he was like, you're trying to build this website and you're getting so frustrated. Why don't you take a break? And I was like, I can't. Like, I remember sitting on the couch and I was like, I can't. I don't know why. I don't know why. And this is before I decided to leave the job. But I was like, I don't know why. I have to do this. Like, there is something in you when you are ready, when you are guided. There is going to be something in you that, like, you can feel it, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. You can feel it in your body that says, I have to do this. I don't know how to do it. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I know that I have to do it. And when you feel that, you got to follow it, and you have to be so disciplined in, so not disciplined in running yourself ragged, not disciplined and you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and work until 6 a.m., the next day or whatever. That didn't even make sense, but you guys know what I mean. You don't have to stay up 24 hours, but you do have to be disciplined in your thoughts, in your energy, in where your attention is going. You have to be disciplined in there is no other option. It is this. It is me. I am depending on me. My family is depending on me. There is no other option. This absolutely has to effing work. And it will. And it will because I am supported, and it will because I've seen I have validation from my past of the people that I've helped, and I've seen how I can help people's lives, and I've seen how I can inspire them. And I, most importantly, and Lindsay, I know a little bit about you, so here's what I will say directly to you. I know how I have changed my own life. I know how I have crawled out of places that felt so dark and so damaged, and I felt so broken. And here I am still thriving and helping other people do that. I just got goosebumps. That message was for you. Because, yeah, like, being an entrepreneur is scary, and you're gonna have your days, okay? When I left in November not thinking that December people weren't buying readings for themselves or coaching for themselves or anything for themselves because they're spending their money on the holidays. And I went through my savings like this, like so quick. And I remember looking up and just being like, I trust you, I trust you, I trust you. And I don't know who I was trying to convince, me or spirit, but I just kept saying it over and over and over and over. And I'd make a quarter of what I needed to make in December. But in January, I made up for everything that I needed plus the next 2 months. And I don't know how. It doesn't make sense. The work that we do, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else except for us. But we have to match the vibration and the energy that we want to attract. We have to believe that it's possible for us. We have to believe that it's there for us. And so a lot of that belief comes from chipping away at the subconscious programs that we don't even know are playing in the background. A lot of that belief comes from working with our guides, sitting in meditation. Show me what I need to see. Show me what's blocking me. Showing me what I'm still holding on to. Show me where my energy has been left, and working through those moments. And a lot of that, a lot of my clients and I do that together because it's really hard to do that for yourself. But the belief also comes from doing exercises like journaling exercises that I teach. It comes from looking at the belief, right? Like identifying the belief, writing the belief down, and then writing, is this ultimately true? Did God paint this in the sky? Is this ultimately true that I am not worthy of running my own company? Did God say that or did the universe say that I can never be a rich person or an entrepreneur or fully take care of my family without relying on another paycheck? Did God say that? Is that did he give me these cards? Am I never allowed to trade these cards in? Well, no, none of that's true. The beliefs that we have in ourselves come from being programmed, right? Somebody told us something, we believe them. And it's good and it's bad sometimes. But that's where the discipline comes in. The discipline of noticing those thoughts, having the self-awareness, choosing what thoughts, what feelings, what vibration, what words you're speaking, the things that you're doing, are they serving you? And so, oh, sorry, I love this subject so much because when you are called to do something, I fully believe you get to follow that. And you will have moments. Like, as an entrepreneur, you will have moments where you're like, fuck, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know if I want to rely on myself all the time. This is a lot of pressure. This is a lot of pressure. But then you will have one person come to you. It happens to me every time. Every time I get to that point where I really start questioning myself, I will have an email from someone that maybe I have or haven't worked with telling me how I've helped them, telling me their progress. I will know that I'm living my purpose. You will have a client have a major breakthrough in that day. You will get an offer that day. The day that you're about to give up is the day that you will get the validation that you need, and that is how you can continue to trust in spirit, because every single time they show up. Nobody said entrepreneurship was easy. That's why everybody doesn't do it. It's not for everyone, and that's okay. The funny thing about me is I said this my whole life, I never want to be my own boss. I never want that responsibility. I never want to have to worry about where the money is coming from. And now I cannot imagine my life any other way. And some months, like, it's so exciting and it's so wonderful and everything's flowy and you feel so divine and so on your purpose and on your path. And then sometimes you're like, oh my God, what have I been doing? But then you look back and you take inventory and you've been doing it, and you will do it, Lindsay. I've seen the progress that you've made over the years, and I know you will do it. But there might be some work that you need to do internally to believe that you can do it. And so if it's easier, keep leaning on spirit and lean on them again and again and again and again. But through leaning on spirit, you can learn to lean on yourself. Because as you follow what they're giving you, as you follow these insights, as you follow your intuition, you realize that it's you that's been doing this all along. You've been listening. And the more that you listen, the more you are guided. And the more you are guided, the more you're on your path. And the more you are on your path, the happier you are. And the happier you are, the more light you can spread, and so on and so forth, right? It's a domino effect. So your intuition shows up in everything you do, whether you want it to or not. When you follow that intuition, you will be guided. When you go against it, you're going to keep hitting a wall. And that was a message for everyone. I hope that helps you. So, maybe it's working with someone, maybe it's doing it on your own, but I do feel there are some really, really deep beliefs that you're going to have to work at, like chipping away. And it's not going to be just one thing that's going to help you believe, and it's not just going to be affirmations that's going to help you to believe. What I keep seeing for you is a notebook. What I keep seeing for you is homework. What I keep seeing for you is like going through, asking what your higher self needs you to know, asking what you're feeling, writing beneath this, is this ultimately true, debunking that belief, asking what's beneath this, and going and going and going deeper and deeper and deeper, and continually doing the work. And every single day, I want you to tune into the vibration of money. Every single day, I want you to tune into what it feels like to be her, to be that entrepreneur. Visualize yourself walking through it. Visualize yourself 6 months from now and look at your bank accounts and look at the people you helped and see yourself on the stage and see the people clapping. This is a direct message for you and anyone listening that needs this. This is going to support you. Okay, let's see. We have more comments. You are very welcome. Let's see. Julie says, the issue of trust is an interesting one for me. I absolutely trust in spirit to watch over me and protect me and manifest extra money, but I have a hard time letting go and trusting the spiritual things that I can't control. That I will do things well, or know how to do things, or know what I'm supposed to be doing. Does that make sense? Yes, it does, because manifesting is fun, right? Like that, it sounds like that's the part that you trust in. You trust in the support, you trust in manifesting. Manifesting is fun. Having to trust, it goes back to trust, having to trust in yourself, having to trust in the decisions that you're going to make, having to trust in what I'm getting for you is hearing the information correctly, hearing the guidance correctly, receiving the guidance correctly. That's a whole nother ballgame. And that's why I teach what I teach in the intuitive development course. That's why I teach what I teach in my coaching and in boot camp, like we talked about earlier, is you've got to get to where you're receiving a message, you follow that guidance, you see and trust that that guidance was meant for you. So what I always tell my students is the more you open up, the more you will open up. This goes for your clairs, this goes for your intuition. The more that you trust and act on that guidance, the more that you're going to be given to trust and to act on. And so it's little by little by little by little that you start getting these small validations. Now you already have the validations that you can manifest. You already have the validations of support. You already have the validations of, oh shit, I'm falling, and all of a sudden something's there to catch you, right? You have the validation of that. Oh, okay. I'm being reminded to tell everybody on the subject that we just talked about, and then on this exact subject, one of the things that really works is doing a trust fall into the hands of spirit. So especially usually around like financial abundance, but you can do this with anything. I will visualize myself just like just standing somewhere, feeling like I'm about to fall off my edge or off the tightrope, and I will actually visualize myself falling. And I'll visualize a big pair of hands, like a big pair of hands from the universe catching me, reminding me that I'm safe, reminding me that I can trust, okay? But Julie, what I'm getting for you is it's not so much about your trust in spirit as it is because you've got that. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to manifest. You wouldn't be able to, trust that there is a higher power for you. Your issue is the trust within yourself. And I don't mean that like in a mean way, but they're showing me like your issue is, well, do I trust myself to get stuff done? Do I trust myself to make a move that I'm uncomfortable with? Do I trust myself to look at life different? Oh, this is big. Do I trust myself to look at life differently? Because what if I'm disappointed and let down again? It's really about kind of squashing your ego and stepping out of your comfort zone and allowing yourself to just experience life as you want to and kind of live in this cloud. Because I feel like when you get too high up or you get too excited, I feel like there's a piece of you that kind of pulls yourself back. It's like a safety mechanism for you. And so if you want to tap into your intuition a little bit more, then you're actually going to have to get in touch with your higher self more and have that ego step back. And these are things that we talk about in coaching and all of the courses that I have basically, and then also boot camp. So really, I would say try to work on telling your ego to step back and living life through your higher self, because the issue isn't your faith and spirit. It again comes back to you, which most of the time stuff usually comes back to us because, as spirit says, we always make it harder. But it's more about, do I believe that I am capable of this? Is this for me? There's still a belief in there of intuition is only for special people. Like receiving guidance is only for certain people. And that's just because it comes down to, am I really aligned with what my higher self says? If I follow this, if I follow my bliss, is that wrong? Is that bad? Is that okay? So I don't necessarily know where this belief is coming from, but I'm definitely picking up that it's like, is it okay for me to ultimately be happy? Is it okay for me to ultimately like be guided? Is it okay for me to see life through a beautiful lens? Because there's just like this protective layer, I feel like, in front of you that's like, you're just so afraid of being let down by allowing yourself to thrive too much. Interesting. Shoot me a message if you want, and we'll talk about that a little more. Okay. So let me see. I feel like we already covered a lot of what I was going to talk about, but let me look at my notes real quick. Okay. So for anybody listening that's like, I still want to know about like, what is this happiness, passion, purpose thing? And purpose, finding your purpose and even finding abundance through your purpose and your passion. We're going to do a whole section on that in the Intuitive Bootcamp. I do this, it's one of my favorite exercises. I get really lit up about it, but it's kind of like making a resume for life, making a resume, taking inventory of your life. And it's a really, really fun exercise that has gotten a lot of people very clear insight about where they want to go and what they want to do and how they want to do it and what they were kind of put here for. And understand too that our purpose isn't always connected to career. But I do believe that we all have the capability to make that connection should we want to. Some people don't want to. Some people don't want to take what they're passionate about and focus all of their time and attention on it because they're afraid of it turning into something that they don't love. But in that case, I just say you take a 2-week break. But that's just me, and that's something we'll talk about in boot camp and coaching. But okay, so I made some notes here. So we talked a little bit about self-discipline. And self-discipline is something you have to have whether you work from home or whether you want to change your life, your lifestyle, your mindset, tap into your intuition, or just get happier. And when I say self-discipline, again, I don't mean working out. I don't mean waking up at 5 a.m. I don't mean beating yourself up or criticizing yourself in any way, shape, or form. But I do mean holding yourself accountable. And to align with your happiness is to align with your purpose, okay? So when you feel that you are living life on purpose being intentionally, on purpose being with what lights you up, on purpose being with what fills your soul, makes you happy, makes you at ease, or even for some people, what just makes you content? What allows you to relax? Like some people can't relax. So what allows you to relax? What allows you to just be? Okay? And so what is it that you can get lost in? How can you create space for that? What problems can you solve for other people? These are things that we can look at when we want to kind of tap into. That's got to be one of the top questions I always get. What is my purpose? How do I find my purpose? I feel purposeless, where I feel off of my path. Well, then my first thing for people, aside from the messages that Spirit gives them, is one, what are you doing for you? How are you showing up for you? Moms and dads, and really a lot of people, I've had a big wave of clients lately, which is interesting to me because things always come in waves. And if you are someone that uses your intuition or you have your own business, you know that things always come in waves and they come in clusters. I've had a lot of people lately that have been showing up that have been taking care of other people from a very young age, especially mentally speaking. There's been a lot of mother matters coming up lately of a lot of people who have been kind of supporting their parent from a very young age, mentally, emotionally holding space, okay? And so this kind of becomes our natural program where we're always on for other people. We're always doing for other people. And I always ask people that are trying to find their purpose, what are you doing for you? What space are you creating for you? What time in the day? Everyone has 1 hour a day to give to themselves. I don't care how busy you are. Everyone has 1 hour a day to give to themselves. In the morning, in the afternoon, at night, before everyone wakes up, after they go to sleep, on your lunch break, everyone has an hour a day. What are you doing with that time? What are you saying to yourself? How are you talking to yourself? Are you saying you're relaxing on your phone, or are you actually disconnecting from everything around you and everything that you actually need to look into? Okay. What are you doing for yourself? we feel so selfish, right? And you guys have heard me say this before. My mom told me I was so selfish for taking an hour a day, for putting myself first. And it's not, again, it's not about not you eat your dinner first and then you get your kids their food or whatever. It's not about that. It's about taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritual so that you can show up as your best self for those around you. Okay? So the first thing I ask when people are like, I want to find my passion, my purpose, what are you doing for you? If you don't know what makes you happy, if you don't know what makes you tick, if you don't know what brings you joy, allows you to relax, then how are you supposed to tap into that purpose? How are you supposed to tap into that lasting happiness if you can't even answer the question when someone asks you, what makes you happy? And I mean, besides the generic things. Well, my kids make me happy. My work makes me happy. Going to the beach makes me happy. Okay, those things are great. But what really lights you up? What can you get lost in? Okay, I can, and here it can be so simple. I can get lost in walking in the woods. I can get lost in tuning into and watching life around me. I love to tune into remembering that the trees are alive, remembering that this earth is a living, breathing rock, remembering that all these little birds and the ecosystem, like I can just like go into it. And that takes me into a massive meditation while walking, while moving. It connects me to spirit. It connects me to my energy, the energy of all the things around me. And when you are in that space, you align with what you were born to do. When you are in that space of just receiving and feeling, you go naturally into flow. And so how does that happiness, how does being in that bliss shift your life? How does that help you? How does tuning into trees actually help you find lasting happiness? Because you take a moment for yourself, you reconnect with your spirit, you reconnect with your higher self in those moments of doing what lights you up. So maybe it's art, maybe it's talking to people, maybe it's giving advice, maybe it's sharing your story, whatever it is that lights you up, that fills your soul. Connect to that energy. Acknowledge when you are there, because the act of that is self-discipline, is reminding yourself to show up for yourself, is holding yourself accountable. And the more that you do that, the more that you tune into that and ask yourself the questions of what makes me happy, ask yourself the hard questions of what isn't serving me, asking yourself those questions, you are deepening your relationship with your higher self every single time you tune into that. And so when you tune into what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel like you're thriving in the moment, then you tune into the higher self. And when you tune into the higher self, your intuition expands. And when your intuition expands, you connect to synchronicities, manifestations. When you connect to those things, opportunities come in. When you get into this vibration, everything starts acting as, you are the magnet that everything is attracted to, that you need, because you are raising your vibration when you're in that state, okay? And so self-discipline is tuning into the self. Tuning into the self. What does the self need? What is serving me? What is not? It's being dedicated enough to show up for yourself, to show up for your business, to show up for your purpose. It's realizing that I feel like some kind of emotion is coming through right now. I'm not sure who it's coming through. I feel like I don't know what that thing is. I feel like I don't, like, that's the first step, is feeling into, well, what makes me happy? What makes me thrive? What gives me joy? What allows me to relax? I don't know. Okay, well, if you don't know, then you need to take some time for you. You need to take some time to get in touch with that intuitive side, to get in touch with your higher self, to notice when the ego is speaking, to tell the ego to step back, to tune into little things like nature and sitting and giving yourself an hour a day for you. Okay, self-discipline is so much more than being active and productive. It's about tuning into yourself. And when you tune into yourself, you will become happier within you. It took me a long time to learn that nobody outside of me can make me happy consistently. No amount of money, no vacation, no amount of laundry that is done for me, nothing outside of me can make me last, make my happiness last, make it sustainable. It comes from my relationship with myself, the way that I talk to myself, the things that I do for myself, the relationships that I disconnect from for myself, the ways that I put myself out there and allow myself to live a little, to do something scary, to do something unknown, to step out of my comfort zone. I used to probably never step out of my comfort zone, and now I can't imagine staying in a comfort zone for too long, because we should be growing. We should constantly be growing. We should constantly be and growing doesn't mean, again, I'm not talking about productivity. I'm talking about growing our relationship with ourselves, becoming more self-aware. The more self-aware we are, too, the more in tune with our bodies we become. The more in tune with our bodies we become, the easier it is to feel energy around us. The more we are aware of that, the more our intuition will expand. Okay? So, let me just look at my notes real quick. Okay, so we've pretty much gone over everything. The one thing I will say is, when you start aligning with the self-discipline of checking in with yourself, of living for yourself, living for this life, like live your life, actually live your life, participate in it, show up for it, go on a walk. Like that's something I've been doing every morning instead of my old morning routine, which was sitting and journaling, and I plan to interchange them. But this week I've been waking up, taking a quick shower, and just going on a walk. And just while everybody is still in their houses and between 6 and 7, it's quiet. I'm watching the birds. I see the bunnies. I'm watching the trees. I'm actually feeling the wind. Merge with life. Merge with life. It's not out to get you. Life is not out to get you. Life wants so badly, your guides want so badly, your higher self wants so badly for you to remember why you came here. And when you tune into your higher self consistently, you're going to be led to your purpose. You're going to be led to why you came here, okay? And the more that you tune into her too, the more you're going to have self-discipline. Because once you realize that you've established that connection with her or him, you're not going to want to let your higher self down. So I'll leave you guys with that today. Let me see if there's any more comments. Carol, hi Carol. Carol says, I feel Spirit has been hitting me over the head with just that message this past year. I have to be disciplined in my self-care. I started back at it again this week. Yay, I'm so glad to hear that. I would say self-care is the most important thing in my life because, and that sounds crazy, I have kids, I have a family, I have a business. Everything else in my life relies on my self-care because I have dealt with depression in the past and I have dealt with emotional stuff and I've had my traumas. And so if I am not consistent in my self-discipline and self-care and I allow myself to get off, that path, then I notice how everything and everyone else around me is affected by that. And so when I notice that I am in a lower vibration, self-care in that moment is to check in. Self-care in that moment is to journal, is to say, okay, what's going on? What am I not seeing? What needs to come up within me? It's doing the inner work that I teach over and over and over to my clients. It's digging deeper. It's tuning in with my higher self, my spirit guides. That is self-care. That is self-discipline. And it all stems back to that relationship that you have with yourself. So, Thank you, Carol. So, thank you guys for joining me today. Again, boot camp is open for registration until May 27th. Class starts the 31st. All classes will be recorded. You will get notes. You will have access to the recordings and the notes inside my website. I'm going to set it up in an account in your account for you, so that you can access it every week, and every week beyond. You once you're in, you have it for life. So if you guys have any questions about boot camp, if you have any questions that you'd like to hear answered on the podcast, let me know. Also, if you haven't, because this is on Facebook Live, if you haven't been on the podcast, please check me out. I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Music, or sorry, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, all of them. It's called the Spirited Life Podcast, and there's a ton of good stuff on there too. So I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.